Broads Media.
Oh, man, you can't make up this garbage. It never ends in Sixers world. Before we get to this absolute dumpster fire of an organization, hello, welcome on into Broads Media. If you are new here, make sure you smash the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate all of your support. And you can take me on the road with you by going to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any of your podcasting platforms. If you subscribe over there and leave a 5-star rating and a review, your love means the world. So thank you. One last thing, Garage Beer. It's the best light beer to ever touch my lips. The best. DrinkGarageBeer.com. Don't worry about IPA. It's 100% light beer. It's 1,000% quality. And when you walk in to watch the Birds or to watch the Sixers or the Flyers or the Phillies with your friends and they see you're strolling in with Garage Beer, you're going to look like the coolest guy on earth. There's nothing better than looking like the coolest guy on earth. DrinkGarageBeer.com. I'll shut up and start screaming about the Sixers. Enjoy the show. Yo, Joel Embiid's a fucking problem. Joel Embiid is a major issue, and now it is time, if you are the 76ers, to really wonder, no, we're not wondering anymore. It's time to put your testicles on the table and make a massive franchise-changing move and get Joel Embiid out of this town. In what universe does Tyrese Maxey, the young 20-year-old kid, have to stare at him in the eyes and say, wake the fuck up? This dude can't show up on time. This guy can't show up on time. That's the easy thing. The easy thing to do is be there for your teammates. The easy thing to do as a leader is to be there. The hard part is to put in the work, to pay attention to the details, to really put all your effort in when you're on the floor. That's the difficult part. We can't even get over step one, which is show up when you're supposed to show up. How will you ever lead a franchise if we can't even get through what should be the most basic part of this whole thing? Show up for the guy next to you. It's not a surprise that we are hearing about all this turmoil. When you see the way they act in these games, yeah, they're 2-11. They suck. There is definitely problems going down behind the scenes. But this is what ticks me off the most about it. Joel said 2 things postgame. 2. 1, we had a meeting? Oh, yeah, that's a real mature way to respond to getting called out by the rest of your crew. So that's a slap in the face. If I'm a teammate and I hear that, that's taking no accountability. Be like, yeah, you know what? There were things said in there, and obviously we're going to keep that in-house. But what was said in there, I truly think is important. And we are going to use that information the best way we can. And we're going to use that talk that we had as a group to make sure when we touch the floor on Wednesday, when we play the Memphis Grizzlies, we're as prepared as we can be. And we're going to move through this. We're going to get through this. I believe in this group. I love this group. I love this team. I'm excited to see what Nick Nurse can do here after we added Paul George. I can't wait. I'm ready for an opportunity. I want to see Memphis today if I can. Right? What's wrong with an answer like that? Instead, we had a meeting. Not only was it we had a meeting, it was Jimmy Butler's the best player in the NBA. Something along those lines. Jimmy Butler, what a great guy. What a great player. What a great teammate. After you get roasted, after you get obliterated by the ones that tie up the shoes next to you, you start praising Jimmy, who's no longer here. Which the ironic part is, Jimmy Butler is known to do exactly what Tyrese Maxey did, if not probably 50,000 times more aggressive. So he loves Jimmy, yet when Maxey tries to hold you accountable, you start to play this nonsense with the public. It's a bad look. I thought the Olympics was supposed to be something that could help Joel Embiid mature. Being around real pros, being around winners. Did LeBron James show up an hour and a half late? Did all those guys for Team USA decide to half-ass it and lollygag their way to all the meetings and all the little pre-Olympic stuff? I doubt it. I doubt it. So now I'm starting to wonder, all that time spent with James Harden, what'd he learn? Strip clubs are fun? What'd he learn? Basketball should be 7th on the list of importance? It's definitely not number 1. Yesterday, I was truly convinced that Joel Embiid just doesn't have it anymore because the wear and tear on his knees just became a reality. That this is him healthy. Joel Embiid healthy now, can't play. Now, I don't think he cares to play. Now, I think he truly is half-assing it. I'll go through the motions. I'll collect my paycheck. I got an extension. Oh, that extension. What a slap in the face to Sixers fans now. This isn't new, right? This isn't all of a sudden Joel Embiid is starting to act this way. This had to have been happening for quite some time, I'd imagine. So that means the Sixers, knowing this is what Joel Embiid does, the ownership made a business decision to lock him in longer. I want nothing to do with the Joel Embiid experience anymore. And that's hard for me to say. I was always a believer in that raw, natural ability. But this is ludicrous. It is so disrespectful to us, to his teammates, to everybody involved. And I thought Joel Embiid was better than that. I did. Yes, there were haters that didn't like the fact that a 7'2" big man is taking jump shots or taking 3-pointers and all that. But there's a difference between this low. Like, this is low. This is punching someone in the balls. Probably 15 times nonstop. The guy's down and out. He's crying. He's curled up into a ball. His balls are in his stomach. And you're just feeding those testes, man. Just feeding them with steel toe boots 18 times. This is low. You could debate how he plays. You could debate meaning jump shooter, his size, lack of rebounding. You could debate that. This is different. This is flipping everyone in this town off. I don't care. Go fuck yourself. And once you hit that point, I don't know if you can return. See, now with Joel, it's us versus you. And reality is, you never win that matchup. Never. Tell me the last time taking on the city of Philadelphia and their fan base panned out. All right, so this is what was mentioned in the Shams piece on ESPN. Embiid accepted the message, but he is sometimes confused about what the Sixers want to do on the floor. What? Here's a crazy concept. Show up, learn, absorb, apply. If you're there when you're supposed to be there, you probably won't be confused. They're probably going over details, and they're probably focusing on things they want to do, but you're not even available to consume it. How do you not recognize that? Embiid's confused. Dude, let's be honest. The whole operation, it's about you. So that means you're not putting in the time. It's not rocket science. It's always been built around, and it's been about Joel Hans Embiid. So if he's confused on what they're trying to do, it's because you're not putting in the effort to learn it. You're not there on time to even absorb that info. Like, that's crazy to me. You don't want to win? All this talk about you wanting to win? Shove it up the rear end, dude. Because nobody who actually feels that way would ever in a billion years go through the motions. If it mattered to you, there's nothing else outside of family stuff and serious in-life, real-life stuff that would change you being available for whatever it is that's important to you, right? Like, I love sports talk radio. Love. I'm addicted. I'm obsessed. I think about it every day. When I have certain things that I have to do to make sure I improve at my craft, if I have a meeting at 11, I'm there at 10 a.m. waiting in my car and then walking in a half hour early. I might even get there at 9:45, 9:30 if a meeting's at 11. I don't want to be late because it's that important to me. I have a radio show that starts at 10 p.m. I may get to the studio around 8. I'll sit down, I'll listen to audio, I'll put my show together, I'll plan, I'll prep. Come on. I mean, it's simple. If it matters, you will. If you want to be great, you will do everything to be great. And maybe he had that hunger early. And then the Olympics, which we thought could be a positive being around those guys, maybe that was sort of the sounding the alarms, or not sounding the alarms, but it's him getting, I made it. I'm here now. Look, I got a stall next to LeBron. I'm good. I don't have to bring energy anymore. I don't have to do X, Y, and Z. I don't need to prepare. I don't have to learn. I'm good. I'm a gold medalist. I'm on Team USA. Maybe it hurt him big time, but I just can't get over the fact that he claimed to be confused on what the Sixers even want to do. Dude, you are supposed to be the star of the team. It's pretty simple. Things go through you. So if you're not understanding, there's a disconnect between you, and everything else. But if you apply yourself, that should be able to get cleaned up. The coach, the teammates, they can only do so much. If you're not willing, then they can beg you all you want. And you know what? I brought up a hypothetical in last night's show, and I thought it was a far stretch to the point where I didn't even want to bring it up because it sounded silly. But I mentioned how I always want to throw everything on the table, and then we can figure out and filter through the BS and then what's true, right? And this one felt so not real, but I at least wanted to just throw it out there. And it was, could it be possible that Embiid with this illness thinks, I don't really want to play. I don't want to play. And then Nick's like, dude, you got to play. What do you mean? You got to play. And I'm like, come on, what are the odds we have to beg Joel Embiid to even want to play? Pretty high now. You know what? High. What are the odds? High odds. High odds. He gets downgraded to doubtful. Nick goes, what the hell are we doing here? This is a disgrace. So a lot of this turmoil is all because of the Joel Embiid experience. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of people that said, I said this 10 years ago. I said this 8 years ago. I don't think it was like this always. I don't. I think once he started to get more established in the league, obviously, he felt entitled and felt a certain type of way. And that's how a lot of NBA stars do feel. They feel entitled to a degree. But I would imagine this is recent-ish. Maybe I'm wrong. But I don't care to hear about how 7 years ago. No, sorry. 7 years ago, right now, we're on two different stages. We're in a different stage. You got to make a change, though. You got to make a change. A serious franchise-changing change. Tyrese Maxey is in his young 20s, and this man had his head on straight big time. And you get that combination with Jared McCain, you got to figure out a way. You got to figure out a way. And before you say you can't do this, you can't do that, you can always do something at some point. Something at some point can be done. Ben Simmons can't shoot a basketball. No one's ever going to want him. He gave up on his team. Ben Simmons moved. James Harden moved. Guys get moved. Guys get traded. From the technicality of a contract standpoint, we'll talk about it all throughout the future here. Once Joel Embiid realizes how much this town is going to be ruthless, that opens up a whole nother discussion as well. But anyway, how about this part of the story? Players are telling Nick that they want to be coached harder. And their response is, we need to practice with the purpose more. How about we get that? How about we get practice with the purpose and more attention to detail? Now, can they not coach the way the players want them to coach? Because they're afraid to upset little baby Joel Embiid. That's what I'm thinking's happening. Guys are looking around at Nick saying, yeah, we're NBA players. We can take it. Let's go. What we're doing is unacceptable on the floor, and we take credit and responsibility for that. Like, we get it. We acknowledge it. That's our fault. But we got to get our head out of our ass, and a way that we feel we can do that is if you coach us harder. That's pretty good to have that sort of awareness in the room, that we're not going to take it personal. We get it. But this whole going through the motions and, pat us on the back and tell us it's going to be okay, it's not unless we get together and really pull in the right direction. And if you got to throw fire our way, and if you got to light something under our ass to get us going, then bring it on. Let's go. Let's get it going. Can they not? Because baby Embiid's feelings might get upset. And because he won't react in a way that is acceptable, then that's it. That's all she wrote. The rest doesn't matter. It's history. They have to coddle him. Yep. That's what I think. Yes. To answer my own question, do I think that's what's happening? Yes. Embiid's a baby. A big, big baby. Unbelievable. I feel so disrespected for all the times I put up a fight and I gave this guy the benefit of the doubt, for all the time I talked about his greatness as a player and his rare skill set and how tremendous he is, and the fact that he picked up a basketball at 15, 16 years old. 10 years later, we're talking about being an MVP in the association, all that stuff. You can't just accidentally walk into that. You have to put in work. And then it seems like as soon as he put in work and got some of the accolades, I got my money. I came from Cameroon. I'm now locked in good here in the U.S. I got my family. And I'm not here to tell you that if you secure a good spot for your family, you should not be proud of that. You 1,000% should be proud of that. You should. But there's a difference between being proud of that and then acting accordingly, and then proud of that and saying, you know what? Fuck everybody else. Fuck them. All of you that helped me get here, I don't care about you. You're backstabbing the ones that helped you along the way. And we, not just we, the fans, the teammates, Maxey, these guys, they've helped you throughout this path. You got to make sure you show love, you show appreciation. And the way you do that is you respect them with your craft. You give them everything you have on the floor. Now, that media availability he had about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, however long it's been, about how much I've done for this city, and it looks even worse now. Everything, going back to everything that has transpired since Embiid and the beginning of this season, and caring about the Olympics and not caring about this team and not being ready for game one, all of it. what are the odds that he's properly going through his rehab stuff? If his rehab begins at noon, he's probably there at 2. I never understood that. I got family like that. Hey, the party starts at 3. They show up at 6:30. Oh, what are you doing? And if Embiid wanted to be healthy and wanted to play ball, you would do everything in your power to make sure you're doing that and some. It's unbelievable. Now, I want to make sure that nothing else has dropped since we started this. Shams was on the Pat McAfee show about 15 minutes ago. Last night, the 76ers had a team meeting, and I was told that Tyrese Maxey challenged Embiid. He told him that we need you to be on time for team activities. Tyrese loves Joel, but he delivered a message that I think a lot of people saw coming. So was Joel blindsided by this? Kyle Lowry, Nick Nurse, Paul George, a lot of the guys in the room recognize that something's not right with the big fella. Something's not right with 2-1. We got to say something. And Embiid's just lollygagging his way through, la-di-da-di-da, driving to Camden, la-di-da-di-da, showing up to the Wells Fargo Center, la-di-da-di-da. Wait, what? What? And I'm not taking this lightly, what I'm about to say as an example. I am not taking this lightly. I'm not. I'm putting a big emphasis on not. But there are times in life where you have to sit someone down that you love and you say, hey, you got to realize what you're doing is not okay. It is going to bring you down a path that, as a family member, as a loved one, as someone who truly deeply cares about you, I can't allow for you to go through that. But the person who's sitting in that chair when he walks in the room and sees 4 or 5 loved ones sitting around him, he was blindsided. I have no... Really? You think it's that bad? Something along those lines. To a degree, I'm wondering if Embiid was blindsided by this. And there's 2 ways to go when you hear this. You either look yourself in the mirror or you turn a cold shoulder. And maybe Embiid slept on it and feels different now. But the time right after, it looked to be a cold shoulder. It looked to be a I don't care what you said, based off of the Jimmy remarks and the we had a meeting remarks. Sometimes it takes time to really let it settle, and you realize you handled things the wrong way. And then from there, you dap up and you move forward. It's not impossible, but I also feel when you're dealing with this high level of personality, this high level of ego, this type of money getting thrown around, and Bede's probably thinking, yo, Tyrese, who are you? Who are you? You haven't done diddly dick in this league. Who are you? And if that's the case, that's a wrong approach. But if Embiid feels that way, then there's no going back. And if I was a betting man, I think this whole Joel Embiid thing is over. I don't think there's going back at all once we've reached this point. This is the day. It is November 19th, 2024. This is the day that the 76ers have truly hit a new era. I guess whenever Joel Embiid's not actually here is the official day of it all. But this starts the thinking. This starts the real lock-in mode for us fans of, all right, Joel, see ya. And now we can see what Maxey and Jared McCain can do. You got to have the right mentality. And without the right mentality, it doesn't matter how great you can dribble, how well you can shoot, what your true shooting number is, how well you can operate from the nail. None of that is relevant. You got to go out on the floor with a purpose, nonstop. And if you're going through lackadaisical possessions and you're not caring about sets and you're not even willing to learn about what you should or shouldn't be running, look, if you're confused, right, that's okay. Paul George, Maxey, new teammates, head coach, figuring this whole thing out. You're allowed to be confused 10 games into the season, especially when you haven't been able to collectively play together. That's not the issue. I mean, it is an issue, don't get me wrong, but it's not anything out of the norm when you throw 15 guys together and a head coach and a second year and, you're trying things out. Like, yeah, it makes sense that you're a little confused on stuff. But are you applying everything to make sure that you clean up that confusion the best you can? And it doesn't feel like there is a bond, a relationship, and a competitive nature and a sort of open heart. It's got to be all that. You got to have the fire. You got to have the passion. You got to have the love for one another. You got to have the open-mindedness. You got to have the willingness. You got to have the time management to be able to consume all of it. And then make sure you clean up the issues. Instead of bitching that I don't know what we're trying to do, how about you try to fix it? Because watching this team play, there's zero indication that there was ever truly something that you did to try and fix it. You just kept going out there, rolling the ball around, and then seeing what happens. You're playing that way. And let me get this straight. This is organizationally as well, not to take blame off of Joel Embiid, but organizationally. Didn't we hear that there was a plan for Embiid? So if there's confusion and if there's a plan to keep him off the floor so he can stay healthy, doesn't that mean it may take extra time? Because you're losing valuable minutes, right? You're losing valuable possessions and valuable time to gather that cohesion and knowledge of playing with your teammates. You still have to do work. You still have to do homework. You still have to study the tape. You still got to watch the film. You got to do all this. And think about what the culture is like if there's film study at noon and he's showing up at 2:30 with the slides on and he's dragging his feet with food in his hand as he plops into his little stall area. And he's already missing those valuable minutes, and that's when you're supposed to learn more about what you should do. No wonder why you're confused. How do you show up late to all that in the NBA and pro sports? It's your job. It's your job. You say all the time how much it means to you, how much this game matters, how much you love it. Clearly not. Clearly, you're closer to Ben Simmons and that mindset. I am who I am. It is what it is. More than Kobe. It's crazy. So a heel turn for all you wrestling fans for Joel Embiid. We got a heel turn in this city. I'm trying to see if I have anything else written down that I missed out on. Not really. I hit most of it all. I just can't emphasize enough what being on time really means to a culture, especially when everybody's looking at you. You are the face of this franchise. Your team is 2-11. You know what? How about this angle? Your team's 2-11. You've looked awful, individually speaking. Embiid, awful. Kyle Lowry apparently got this thing rolling. Embiid had no business calling one. I'm trying to spin it away where, like, why didn't Embiid sort of bring everybody together and talk about this as the leader? But if you're not showing up, then your voice doesn't really make the impact that you think it does. If the guy screwing up is the one trying to hold everybody accountable, then the message doesn't hit the way it needs to. So in a weird way, I almost respect the fact that he didn't stand up and talk, because it's almost him acknowledging that it would be in the wrong to do it. But then that also means he knows what he's doing isn't correct, and he still continues to do it. So I don't want Embiid to be the one to try and bring everyone together. The only way it would work is if it's they don't play today, right? Yesterday happened. Let's hypothetically say there was no team meeting. And he brought everybody in on Tuesday, right? And let's say he brings everybody over to his house personally. He has lunch catered. Coaches, the whole staff, everybody. And he stands up and said, listen, I just want to have everybody over here and say that I have not been doing my part. And I don't know what happened. I'm not happy about this happening. If I could go back, I'd change everything. I want to apologize. I'm sorry. We are not in a good spot right now, and I'm going to take accountability for that. Moving forward, I will be there for you. I will be there on time. I'm very angry and disappointed with myself for even needing to say this, and I can't believe I even let it get to this point. I am so sorry. Truly, I am so sorry. It hurts to look at all of you in the face right now. That's how disgusted I am in the way I've acted. But I promise you from the bottom of my heart, from this day moving forward, I won't forget what I did because I know this feeling and it's disgusting. So I don't want to throw it away and pretend it never happened. I'm going to remember it happened to make sure I'll never do it again. I love you guys. You guys are great. You guys didn't deserve this. And that's why moving forward, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure I make it up to you. I'm going to be on time. I'm going to be extra early. If it starts at 10, I'll be there at 8. I will do everything to get your trust back. And I promise I will be there for all of you. Now, that would be the only way I think it could be acceptable. It couldn't be a post-team meeting, upset, emotions are high after a loss, throwing trash cans type meeting. It needs to be a real self-reflect team meeting if Embiid was going to be the one to speak. But the more and more I think about it, it makes sense it's Lowry. It makes sense it's someone else and not Embiid post-game because it wouldn't really fit. It wouldn't be right. It's crazy. It's crazy that we are here. Hey, we're going to wrap things up here, though. I can't thank you all enough for hanging out with me. You guys are great. I love you more than anything in the world. Thank you all so much. I'm sure this Sixers conversation isn't going anywhere soon. So thank you, guys. I love you, and I'll talk to you on the next one.